My child, you've been circling the same mountain for far too long. You've replayed the same questions in your mind, stared at the same options, and rehearsed the same doubts like a script you can't seem to stop reciting. Underscore, and now I'm stepping. In not with anger, not with frustration, but with fire. Underscore why? Because I love you too much to watch you stay stuck. When I've already made the path ahead unmistakably clear. This is not the moment for hesitation. Underscore this is the moment for movement. You're no longer waiting on me, I'm waiting on you. Yes, I saw you seeking. Underscore I heard your prayers for confirmation. Underscore I watched you look for signs and try to tread carefully with spiritual discernment. Underscore and I honored that. Underscore I truly did. Underscore but discernment is not meant to become a disguise for disobedience. And caution is not the same thing as faithfulness. Holding back now isn't wisdom, it's fear, wrapped in the language of reverence. And that fear, it's time for it to break. Let's be completely honest. I did speak. Underscore I did confirm. Underscore I did lead. Underscore and somewhere deep in your spirit, you know it. Underscore you felt it. Underscore even when your mind wrestled and argued, your spirit was stirred by the truth. Underscore and yet you kept going back to the same word, reading it over and over, as if you could make it say something different, something softer, safer, more manageable. But I haven't changed what I said. Underscore I won't change it just to make you more comfortable. Because I'm not here for your comfort, I'm here for your calling. And that calling is not passive. Underscore it's not some abstract idea you get to ponder endlessly while you wait for the stars to align. Underscore yes, I work in the unseen. Underscore yes, I straighten the crooked paths. Underscore but there comes a point, this point where faith must stop waiting. Underscore and start walking. Not walking blindly. Underscore walking based on what I've already told you. You don't need new information. Underscore you need to move. Because the promises I've spoken over your life aren't meant to sit on the shelf like spiritual decorations. Underscore they're not ornaments for your soul, they're instructions for your steps. You weren't created to collect promises. Underscore you were created to walk in them. These words I've given you, they aren't just lovely truths to help you sleep at night. Underscore they are blueprints. Underscore they are maps. Underscore they are power waiting to be activated. So why haven't you moved? Not because you're lazy. Underscore not because you're rebellious. Underscore but because somewhere along the way you let fear dress itself up as strategy. Underscore you convinced yourself it wasn't the right time, that you needed more clarity, that you had to wait until you felt peace. But you misunderstood what peace really is. Peace doesn't always precede the step. Underscore sometimes it comes with the step. Underscore sometimes it doesn't feel like calm, it feels like obedience. Underscore and obedience, even when it costs you comfort, always unlocks peace on the other side. I'm not angry at your hesitation. Underscore but I am confronting it. You see, the time you've been losing to hesitation, it could have been fruit-bearing time. Time for building a legacy. Time for turning your faith into real, tangible impact. I haven't been holding your destiny hostage. The tools, they're already in your hands. The doors, I've already opened them. But here's the part only you can do. You still have to walk through. You still have to say yes, not just in your thoughts, not just in your prayers, but in your actions. You asked me for freedom, and I gave it. Look closely, those chains that once bound you, they're gone. You're not stuck because you're being held back. You're stuck because you keep waiting. It's not the enemy blocking the way now. It's the delay. You're not excluded. You're not disqualified. You're not under a closed heaven. You're standing right at the threshold, and I'm standing right here, waiting for your next step. And when you take that step, even if your knees are trembling, even if your voice shakes, you'll discover that I already went ahead of you. I've already prepared what's waiting on the other side. No, I'm not promising it will be easy, but I am promising it will be mine. And if it's mine, it's holy. If it's mine, it's enough. You don't need the applause of others to keep going. You don't need full clarity or everyone's validation. You don't even need to feel entirely confident yet. All you need Underscore is obedience, because I bless what follows my word, not what waits around for perfect conditions. So hear me clearly. This is me, once again firmly, lovingly, unmistakably calling you forward. It's not time to plan more. It's not time to overanalyze. It's not time to replay old fears like a broken record. It's time to move. To act. To obey. That dream you keep putting back on the shelf, take it down. That application you've been postponing, submit it. That conversation you've been avoiding, have it. And that opportunity that seems too big for you, reconsider. Not all delay is wisdom. Some of it, if you're honest, is fear you haven't dared to name yet, and I'm naming it now. I'm confronting it because you're ready, not because you feel ready, but because I said you are. I will never send you where I haven't already gone before you. I will never command you to move without also covering you as you go. Yes, resistance will come, but don't mistake resistance for misdirection. Resistance is often proof that the enemy sees what's about to be unlocked if you keep moving. So don't fear the resistance. Fear missing what I've already prepared for you simply because you waited too long. I'm with you. In the steps. In the uncertainty. In the follow through. You don't need to see the entire picture. You just need to say yes to the next part, because you weren't made to stand still. You were made for movement. You were born to carry my voice not just in your heart, but through your life. And with every step you take, I'll keep speaking, because I'm not finished yet. But neither are you. Let me gently uncover what's really been holding you back. It's not just a lack of faith, not entirely. It's something deeper. It's the lie. The lie that whispers you must be flawless before you can be fruitful. That somehow, until you reach a version of yourself that's strong, polished, and perfectly disciplined, I can't move through you. Somewhere along the way, you picked up the belief that I only use the most mature, the most spiritual, the most qualified. But that has never been how I work. I don't move through perfection. I move through participation. I didn't call you to this moment because you were the most ready. I called you because you said yes even when your hands were still trembling. And since that yes, I've been training you. Every stumble, every pause, every delay I've used it. None of it wasted. Not a single moment lost. Even your hesitation has helped deepen your roots. But now, what was once preparation has quietly become delay. And I'm stepping in gently, yes, but also firmly. Because I love you too much to let you stay paused here. You've taken your hesitation and dressed it up as something spiritual. You've convinced yourself that waiting on me means doing nothing until every question has an answer, every detail makes sense, and every risk is gone. But that's not how my spirit leads. I never told you to wait indefinitely on what I already confirmed. What you've been calling wisdom underscore is sometimes just fear in disguise. And now I'm uncovering that disguise, not to shame you, not to expose you, but to set you free, because this isn't correction meant to embarrass you. It's truth meant to release you. You haven't failed me by hesitating, but you have started believing a version of me that doesn't reflect who I truly am. I am not the God who dangles promises like bait, waiting for you to prove your worth. I am the God who already proved everything through the cross. And now I ask you to believe that what was finished there is enough. Enough not just for your forgiveness but for your calling. So let me ask you this, and I want you to answer honestly, deep in your spirit. What are you waiting for? Not the surface answer, not the rehearsed one, the real one. Are you waiting for someone else to affirm what I've already spoken over you? Are you hoping that by stalling, the cost will somehow shrink? Are you afraid that moving too soon will cause you to mess everything up and lose my favor? Because none of that is true. You are not fragile in my hands. You are not one wrong move away from being disqualified. And hear this clearly, you are not as far behind as you think. In fact, you're right on time. Not because everything in your life has gone according to plan, but because my grace has kept you aligned, even through the delays. You see, your hesitation hasn't disqualified you. Your imperfection hasn't cancelled your purpose. So let's bring into the light What's really going on beneath the surface? You're not truly afraid that my promise won't happen. No, deep down, you're afraid of what will be required of you once it does. You're afraid of being seen, afraid of being stretched beyond your comfort zone, afraid of having to carry more weight, more responsibility, more visibility than you think you're ready for. And I get it, I truly do. But hear this, I never call you into something without also equipping you for it. I never ask you to carry what I haven't already empowered you to handle, and I never reveal more than what your spirit is already capable of holding. You don't have to fear being exposed, because what I reveal, I also cover. What I invite you into, I also protect. You're not stepping into a war zone unarmed. You're stepping into victory. A victory I've already secured. Will it stretch you? Yes. But it will grow you. Will it demand courage? Yes. But it will also unlock joy. Because walking in my promise isn't just about sacrifice. It's about fulfillment. It's about movement. It's about becoming fully, freely the person I created you to be. You only see today, this moment, this fog of uncertainty. But I see the entire timeline. So, when I say now, you don't need to ask, are you sure? Because I'm not reacting to random circumstances. I'm leading you based on a plan that's eternal. A plan that already accounted for every twist, delay, and doubt. You've been waiting for the conditions to be perfect. But I'm not waiting. On the weathering, waiting on your yes, and I see that yes inside you. Maybe it feels small, quiet, even fragile. But it's real. And that's enough for me. I don't need your volume. I need your agreement. I don't need your strength. I need your surrender. I don't even need your full confidence. I just need your motion. Because once you move, I multiply. Once you step, I sustain. And once you begin, I build. So stop believing the lie that you're not ready. Stop replaying the reasons why it might fail. Stop holding your obedience hostage to your confidence. Your confidence may come later, but your obedience, that's what makes room for my provision. I never asked you to be fearless. I asked you to be faithful. And faithfulness doesn't mean you move without fear. It means you move anyway, because my voice means more to you than your fear does. So let this be the day the excuses fall silent, and in the stillness that follows, prepare your heart, because what's coming next will call you into deeper waters. And as the excuses fade, so too must the delay. Let this be the moment when hesitation ends and obedience begins. You don't need another sign to move. You don't need yet another confirmation. What you need is alignment. And the very moment your heart, your will, and your actions come into agreement, you'll realize I've been right here the whole time, waiting, holding everything you'll need for the journey ahead. Because now is not the time to keep thinking. Now is not the time to keep over-preparing, over-planning, or over-analyzing. And it is certainly not the time to keep begging me for what I've already released. It's time to walk, to move forward in what I've already spoken. And yes, I'll be walking with you. I understand why it feels difficult to move. You're not just hesitating because you're unsure. You're hesitating because you're still carrying the weight of what happened last time. I saw it those moments when you stepped out in obedience, when you followed what you truly believed was my voice, only to be met with pain instead of progress, disappointment instead of breakthrough. You obeyed, and it didn't look like what you prayed for. You trusted, and you ended up heartbroken. You moved forward, and what followed felt like failure, confusion, even embarrassment. And those moments, they didn't just fade. They settled deep into your body, into your memory, into your reflexes. So now, even when I speak with clarity, your nervous system remembers the pain. Let me speak into that. Plainly and gently, I see the bruises that obedience left, and I don't ignore them. I'm not asking you to pretend those wounds never happened, but I am asking you not to build your belief system around your disappointments. Not all pain means you heard me wrong. Pain that follows obedience is not the same as regret, and I want you to see the difference. You obeyed because you trusted. You suffered not because you missed my voice, but because you encountered resistance that tried to make you doubt it. But what if I told you those moments didn't disprove my leading? They proved your willingness. They weren't wasted. They were planting something deep. Because pain, though difficult, is not always a sign of misalignment. Sometimes it's evidence that you were walking in truth, and truth attracts resistance. Not every storm is punishment. Some storms rise because the enemy recognizes what's about to break through and he fears it. The enemy doesn't target the passive. He targets the ones standing at the edge of activation. And you were close. You still are, but now you flinch when I speak, not because you doubt me, but because you remember the cost. You wonder, what if I step out again, and it falls apart again? You ask yourself, what if? You asked, what if I step again, and it breaks again? And now we come to the heart of the matter. That question, what if I trust again, and it hurts again, is not just a passing thought. It's tender. Underscore its real, and I understand why it lingers. But listen closely. That question was never meant to become your anchor. It's a wound, not your definition. And I am healing it right now. You need to know, deep in your spirit, that the pain you encountered from past obedience was never punishment. It wasn't a divine rejection. It was collision, a clash between your purpose and everything that came to oppose it. You were pushing against generations of patterns that tried to keep you bound. You were stepping outside of fear, breaking cycles, confronting systems that were never grounded in my truth. And yes, there was pain. Yes, it cost you. But no, you were not walking alone. Even when the outcome looked nothing like what you had prayed for, I was there. Even when doors remained shut, I was working behind them, building something eternal within you. I was forming in you endurance, sharpening in you discernment, tuning your ears to hear me more clearly. Even in the silence, you think those moments marked failure, but I say they marked formation. And I see it even now. There are still parts of your heart that haven't fully trusted me since that last letdown. But I'm not here to scold you for that. I'm here to win you back. I'm not demanding blind faith, void of feeling or memory. I'm inviting you to walk with me again, not in ignorance, but in restored trust. To hope again is not naive. It's brave. And the fear that whispered, you'll mess it up again, it's being broken now. Not because you'll never face hardship again, but because you'll stop linking hardship to shame. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. And you are not disqualified just because your last yes didn't unfold the way you imagined. I want to reframe the way you measure results, because faith isn't measured by the outcome. Faith is measured by movement. Did you step when I said, step? Did you return when I whispered, come back? Did you follow, even when the road ahead looked dim? If so, then you've pleased me. And that obedience, it still speaks in heaven. But I also know something else. Not all of your hesitation today is just about fear. Some of it is about control. Because when you've been wounded before, the mind begins to whisper, maybe, just maybe, if I plan better this time, I can prevent the pain. But is that really what I've asked of you? Because while strategy has its rightful place, it can quietly transform into a prison, especially when it starts replacing surrender. You've tried to plan each step with surgical precision, haven't you? Trying to avoid another crash, another heartbreak. You've been calculating, analyzing, forecasting, hoping that with just enough control, you'll avoid failing again. But here's what I need you to remember. I never called you to control. I called you to walk with me. And there's healing available for that part of you, to the part that whispers, I can't afford to get this wrong again. Let me lift that burden from your shoulders. Let me remind you I'm not some harsh master looming over you with a red pen, ready to circle every misstep. I'm your father. I walk with you in every attempt. In every clumsy, trembling effort to follow. Me, I'm there. You can't disappoint me simply by trying to follow. I'm not after perfection. I'm after presence, and if you stumble again, I'll catch you. If something turns out differently than you imagined, I'll still use it. I don't waste anything. Surrender to me. Not the steps that confused you, not the seasons you'd rather erase, not even the setbacks that left you breathless. All of it has become part of your anointing. It's what gives your voice weight. It's what makes your yes so beautiful to me. Not because it's polished, but because it's costly. And you still gave it. So today, as you sense the nudge toward your next step, don't wait for fear to dissolve first. Walk with fear if you must, but walk anyway. And this time, I'm not only asking you to trust what I say, I'm asking you to trust who I am. Trust my heart. The same heart that called you before your very first wound is calling you again now. After the bruises, after the silence, after the years you thought were wasted. And here's the truth you may have missed. Nothing's wasted, not even the painful steps, especially not those. In fact, I want you to notice something. Things around you, they've already started shifting. Maybe not in a dramatic, thunderous way. Maybe not in the way you pictured. But look closer. Still your fears just for a moment. If you do, you'll see it. What I promised isn't lingering far off in the distance. It's already beginning to brush against your present. You've been expecting trumpets, but remember I often begin with whispers. You remember what we just said. That whisper you heard. That gentle change in atmosphere, it wasn't your imagination. It was me. I was already moving the moment your heart began to shift. Because that's where it starts, always with the heart. You didn't even realize it, but the moment your heart leaned forward, everything around you started to align in quiet, invisible ways. You're not where you used to be, not spiritually, not emotionally. The heaviness you once wore like armor, it's slipping off piece by piece. The doubt that used to drown out every word I spoke, it's growing quieter now. Fainter. Even the way you speak about your future has changed. Have you noticed? Don't dismiss that shift just because the surface of your life, the headlines, the outward circumstances haven't fully caught up yet. I do my deepest, most transformative work in the unseen. And when the unseen aligns, the seen will follow right on time. Right now, you may feel like you're caught somewhere in the middle between the promise and the fulfillment. Between the word and the manifestation, between obedience and the reward. But let me assure you, the in-between is not a void. It's not a delay. It's not punishment. It's a passage. And I am walking it with you. This place you're standing in right here, right now, is sacred. It's where I teach you to trust the weight of my voice. More than the rush of results. It's where your identity detaches from performance, from outcomes, from external validation, and it reattaches to obedience. That kind of place is holy. Even now, if you pause and reflect for just a moment, can't you feel it? The soil under your feet isn't the same. The air inside your soul feels lighter. That's not wishful thinking. That's me. That's the residue of alignment. You've stopped giving every voice a platform. You've stopped questioning your readiness. With every passing hour, you've stopped begging for 100 signs. Now, you're asking for stamina, for endurance, for strength to stay the course. That is growth. That is faith. That's what maturity looks like in the kingdom of heaven. And heaven sees it. I'm not measuring your journey by how fast you move. I'm measuring it by how deep you've gone. And you're deeper now, deeper in trust, deeper in identity, deeper in your willingness to believe even when there are no visible guarantees. That's why the shift is happening, not just because I decreed it, but because you finally agreed with what I already said. Agreement always unlocks movement. So don't be surprised when people around you begin to sense something different. They may not be able to name it. They might say you seem more at peace. More grounded, more present, lighter somehow. But what they're really sensing is alignment, not self-help, not hype, but a quiet, holy alignment with the spirit of truth. Because that's what happens when you walk forward in what I've said. Instead of sitting back in what you fear, you become unshakable. Not because life got easier, but because your soul stopped depending on life to be easy. You may have expected the breakthrough to come with big signs, massive open doors, public celebration, or giant leaps forward. And yes, I can do that. I have done that. But most often, The shift doesn't start with the dramatic dot, it starts in the small dot. It starts when you pause before reacting, when you whisper a prayer before giving a reply, when you say no even though it costs you someone's approval, when you choose to speak the truth, even when it threatens your comfort. That's where my promises begin to take root, in those quiet, hidden, sacred choices. In the private places where no spotlight shines, in the holy ground of consistent, quiet obedience, and those small, seemingly insignificant decisions. They're not small at all. They are multiplying. They're creating momentum. They're aligning your life with what I've already released in the Spirit. While you've been learning to surrender, I've been building around you, yes, but also building within you. And now, with the inner ground more stable, more rooted, I'm beginning to place weight on your life again, not to crush you, but to trust you. I haven't been silent because I forgot you. I haven't been slow because I doubted you. My voice hasn't been rushing you, it's been preparing you to carry what I've long wanted to place in your hands. So, if lately you've sensed subtle shifts, doors easing open, old opportunities resurfacing, relationships evolving or being redefined, don't dismiss it. That's not randomness. That's me. That's my promise responding to your agreement. Because this is what happens when you walk by faith. The world begins to bend around my word. What once seemed locked begins to loosen. What once looked dead starts to move again. Not all at once, but undeniably. Quietly. Faithfully. Still. I know a part of you is standing guard, waiting for the good to unravel, expecting disappointment to walk through the door just as hope sits down at the table. You've been there before. You've learned not to get too excited too soon. But let me tell you clearly, you're not being set up for heartbreak, you're being drawn into fulfillment. And I do not abandon what I begin. My word does not return to me empty, and neither will you. The small signs you've seen, they're not meaningless, they're evidence and they will grow. But remember this, don't measure your progress by how quickly you see public fruit. Measure it by how faithfully you're listening, how consistently you're responding, how bravely you keep moving. That right there is where my kingdom lives, not in performance, but in obedience, not in visibility, but in trust. The impact is coming. Yes, it is. But the intimacy, it's already here. So stay in this posture. Keep listening even when no one is watching. Keep moving even when it's quiet. Because what I've started in you is already growing roots, already breaking through the surface, already shifting the soil beneath your feet. Don't miss what's forming, just because it hasn't fully appeared yet. You're not in a holding pattern. You're in a holy process, and I'm already in it with you. So now that you've begun to recognize the holy process unfolding beneath your feet, let's talk about what it looks like to live out the promise, not just in theory, but in reality. Because my promise isn't only spiritual. It's going to affect how you spend your time, where you place your energy, and how you show up in the everyday moments of your life. For what I'm building both in you and through you, you can no longer afford to live scattered. You need rhythm. You need rest. You need to walk with authority over your schedule, and not the illusion of control, but real alignment. And that alignment, it begins with honesty. Ask yourself, what are you still giving yourself to that I never asked you to carry? What habits, relationships, or responsibilities are draining you more than I ever intended? You see, not everything that demands your attention is from me. And not everything that needs doing needs to be done by you. You can't keep calling it obedience if I didn't assign it. Some things are just distractions dressed in urgency, wrapped in guilt, wearing the mask of duty. But if you keep saying yes to every voice, you'll be too exhausted to respond to mine. So here's your first instruction: simplify. Not by running from everything. But by recalibrating your yes. By choosing clarity over chaos. By allowing your focus to sharpen, even if it means letting go of what once felt noble or necessary. You cannot walk in my promise while tangled up in the expectations of others. This season, it doesn't require pressure or performance. It requires focus. And I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to align. And yes, alignment will cost you. It will cost you unnecessary burdens. It will cost you roles you weren't meant to carry. It will cost you obligations that once defined your worth, but never bore fruit. Start each day by asking me, Lord, what matters most today? And then have the courage to act on what I show you. It may mean saying no to things that once gave you identity. It may mean stepping back from busyness that once gave you praise. It may mean choosing stillness over the adrenaline of hustle. But in that stillness, you'll find clarity. And clarity, real clarity, is the path to courage. Now, here's the second instruction. Protect your body as if it matters to your calling. Because it does. I didn't give you that body just to survive. I gave it to partner with me. Your physical rhythms aren't separate from your spiritual ones. They're intertwined. They're sacred. When you ignore your fatigue, you invite distortion. When you constantly run on adrenaline, you confuse tension for discernment. And when your nervous system is overwhelmed, even my voice can feel distant. Not because I stopped speaking, but because your body can't receive when it's drowning in chaos. So learn to rest deeply. Not as laziness, but as discipline, as spiritual resistance against a world addicted to overextension. Because rest isn't weakness. It's warfare. It's wisdom. And it's how we begin to prepare you for what's coming next. Because obedience isn't only about big moments or public sacrifices. It's about the way you eat with intention. It's in how you sleep with purpose. It's in how you breathe as though my spirit is present in every inhale. Because he is, you will hear me more clearly when your body is not at war with your spirit, when your rhythms are aligned, when your pace is healthy. You'll notice my voice no longer feels distant, but close, familiar, steady. Third, be wise with your time. You've asked me to multiply what you have. But before multiplication comes stewardship. There's fruit you've been waiting on, answers, outcomes, breakthrough, but it's tied to time you keep giving away. Without discernment, I'm not shaming you, I'm inviting you into a more precise way of living. Set sacred hours. Create boundaries that protect your clarity. Guard the time I've given you like something holy, because it is. Learn to tell the difference between divine interruptions and constant distractions. Not every opportunity is yours. Not every open door was opened by me. And don't fear slowing down. Movement isn't the same as momentum. You can be spinning in circles, drained, dizzy, and still call it progress. But I'm not asking you to move faster. I'm asking you to move truer. Let your pace match your assignment. Let your energy align with your calling. Your soul was never designed to live in spiritual chaos. I'm not sending you out frantic, I'm sending you out focused. Now, let's talk about the people around you. Some won't understand this new clarity you're walking in. They're used to the version of you that was always available, always agreeable, always exhausted for their comfort. But hear me, you cannot serve others well if you're constantly abandoning your own alignment. You're not less loving for learning to say no. You're not selfish for protecting what I've planted. You're finally living like someone who believes the calling is real. And it is real. What I've spoken over your life. It's not abstract. It's not hypothetical. It's unfolding in real time. So start living like that's true. Steward your calendar like someone who's been prepared for impact. Guard your conversations like someone carrying something holy. Pay attention to what enters your mind, your heart, your body. What you feed will grow. What you tolerate will take root. And I want you rooted in truth, not pressure, not performance. Underscore not noise. Underscore just truth. You don't need to impress me with intensity. I'm not asking for dramatic leaps. I'm looking for daily agreement, steady obedience, quiet faithfulness. Because that's where legacy begins. That's where promises take. Shape your aligned decision at a time. And if you mess up, if you say yes to something I didn't send, if you forget to rest, if you get distracted again, I will not withdraw. I'll gently bring you back. I'm not looking for perfect execution. Building a partnership. And partners, they grow. So now that we understand that legacy begins with quiet faithfulness and steady obedience, not perfection, let's take one more step forward. Underscore a step into truth. Underscore into identity. Underscore into freedom. Because here's the truth about partnership. Partners learn. Partners adjust. And I'm right here, walking with you through the entire process. So as you go, I want you to hold this close. What I've promised you. It does require your participation, but it does not require your perfection. It asks for your honesty, your daily return to alignment, your humble willingness to say, I want to stay in step even if I need to realign 10 times a day. That's faithfulness. And that's what I bless. Let your steps today reflect that you trust me. Let your decisions speak louder than your prayers. Let your calendar align with the faith your heart claims to carry. Because this isn't just about a moment of inspiration. It's about becoming someone consistent. I'm not looking to build something flashy and fleeting. I'm ready to build something lasting with you. And it begins not tomorrow, not when it all makes sense, but right here. Underscore with today. But before you move forward into all I've promised, I need to set you free from something first. Free from who you think you have to be in order to carry it. Because here's what's been happening. You've been trying to step into your calling while still clinging to a version of yourself that was never truly you. It was just a way to survive. You've performed strength. You've played the part of being endlessly available. You've worn the mask of consistency and resilience so well that you started believing it was your identity. But I never called you to be a role. I called you to be real. You're not the strong one just because you never break. You are not the reliable one just because you never stop to rest. You are not the capable one simply because you never ask for help. Those were masks. You put them on during seasons of survival sears where those masks helped you make it through what might have otherwise crushed you. And I honored that grit. I saw the cost. But that season is over. You're no longer surviving. You're being commissioned. And you can't carry what I've promised while dragging the costumes of old assignments. So, let me say this clearly. You are not what exhausted you. You are not the expectations that drained you. You are not the performance you perfected just to avoid disappointing others. You are not the one who always has to figure it all out. You are not the one who always has to carry the emotional weight. In every room, you are not the one who can never show weakness. That's not identity. That's captivity. And I'm breaking it off of you now. Yes, I know the fear you feel. That quiet, aching tension if I stop being everything for everyone. Will I still matter? Will I still be chosen? Will I still be needed? Let me answer you gently, but firmly, yes, you matter. And now, let me show you why. Yes, you matter not because of how much you do, or how perfectly you perform, but simply because I called you. Let's stay in that truth for a moment. You are chosen, not because you impressed me. You are needed, not because you're always available. You are valuable. Not because you carry everything flawlessly. You are chosen because I said so. And yes, you're still needed, but not in the frantic, self-sacrificing way you've always believed. I'm not asking for your burnout. I'm not asking for your non-stop presence or forced strength. I'm asking for you, the real you, the one who sometimes doubts, the one who wonders quietly, can I really do this again? The one who aches when no one sees. The one who's tempted to run when the weight feels too heavy. That's the version I call not the polished one, the present one. You've been asking me to use you, and I will. But listen carefully. I won't use the mask. I won't anoint the persona you built to survive. I want to anoint your actual face. I want to fill your real voice. I want to move through your actual story, the one that includes the pain, the struggles, the stretching, and the scars. Because that story your unfiltered, unedited, unpolished story is where my power flows. Not the version you've sanitized, not the role you've rehearsed, but the truth you've lived. You were never meant to be self-sufficient. That idea that you must always hold it together, that's a lie from the world, not from me. I created you to walk independent strength, not some hyper-independent hustle dressed up as holiness. And here's why this matters. The promise I've spoken over your life, can it flourish in a soul that still believes it has to prove it's worth every day. So I'm inviting you now into something new, a new way of living, a new kind of strength, a life where rest is not weakness, but strategy. Where honesty becomes your greatest weapon. Where humility becomes your protection. You've assumed I chose you because of your resilience, but no. I called you long before you had to prove you could endure anything. I didn't anoint your ability to carry everyone else's burdens. I anointed your willingness to carry me, and you don't have to do that with clenched fists or gritted teeth. You can carry me gently. Quietly, honestly. That's where your real strength lives. Not in the things you hide, but in what you're finally ready to release. Because some of the exhaustion you've been carrying, it's not just physical, is it? It's spiritual fatigue. It's the weariness that comes from trying to live someone else's version of obedience, trying to match someone else's pace, trying to keep up appearances. So, no one has to worry about you, but you can't carry a sacred calling while pretending not to be human. You can't live out my promise while denying your own limitations. That's not maturity. That's martyrdom. And I never asked for that. So, here's the truth. Your gentleness, yes, your softness, your surrender, that's where your new strength will be born. So, now that you've laid down the masks, now that you've embraced gentleness as strength, here's what comes next. Surrender becomes your new strategy. Truth becomes your new authority. You don't have to keep carrying the world to be trustworthy. You don't need to stay endlessly available to everyone to prove your faithfulness to me. And you absolutely don't have to keep earning your place at the table because you already have a seat. And that seat? It's not reserved because of your image, your performance, or your perfection. It's yours because of your identity. And from that deep sense of identity, not illusion, you will begin to walk differently. You'll start saying no to things that once falsely defined your worth. You'll stop feeling the need to justify every boundary, every choice. You'll walk into rooms without shrinking, without overcompensating, because your confidence no longer comes from being everything to everyone. You'll notice the shift. I'm not here to prove myself anymore. I'm here to carry what God gave me. Underscore, and that is enough. And that's the version of you I desire. Not the polished, ever reliable, never inconvenient version. I want the real you, the one who has finally become safe enough with me to be seen. Because real movement, real transformation doesn't happen when you perform usefulness. It happens when you finally surrender to being fully known and fully loved. You are not who the world trained you to be. You are not the product of everyone else's expectations. You are not what trauma shaped you into. You are mine. And that's who I'm sending now. Now that you've remembered who you really are. Now that the noise of striving has begun to quiet down, let's talk about how to sustain this. Not by pressure. Not by pushing, but by rhythm. Because what I've called you to carry requires more than sheer willpower. It needs communion. Not performance-based devotion, but real, living relationship. Not a faith that only stirs on Sundays, but a friendship that walks with me every single day. And it all begins in silence, not empty, awkward silence, but sacred silence. The kind where your soul stops scrambling for the next thing and simply listens. Where your prayers aren't measured by eloquence, but by honesty. That's where I want to meet you in this season. Not in louder declarations, but in cleaner presence. Not in striving to feel me, but in trusting that I'm already near. You don't need to wake up every morning and perform strength. You need to wake up and return to truth. God is still with me. I don't have to force this. I get to receive it. Let that be your anchor. Sit in it. Say it aloud if you need to. Let your body feel it. Let your mind believe it. Let your heart be retrained in peace. And from that still place, I'll begin to lead you gently, clearly, because not every instruction will come in thunder. Some days, I'll simply ask you to rest, and other days, I'll ask you to move quietly in trust. So, from that quiet place of stillness where you stop striving and simply remember that God is with you comes the next step, learning to move in rhythm. Underscore a rhythm not of pressure, but of presence. Some days, I'll prompt you to step out boldly. Other days, I'll gently ask you to hold your tongue. Some moments, you'll be called to speak with courage, and others to remain silent and still. But no matter the instruction, the rhythm remains unchanged. Stillness, underscore then listening, underscore then obedience. Not knee-jerk reactions, but thoughtful, spirit-led responses. And for some of you right now, before you move further, you're being called into a fast. Not necessarily from food, but from noise, from constant comparison, from burdens that were never yours to carry. From content that doesn't anchor your soul, but stirs your anxiety instead. You've been consuming so much scrolling, watching, absorbing that your heart no longer knows what's true and what's just digital chaos. So I'm calling you into a different kind of fasting that brings back clarity, not driven by guilt, but led by alignment. That might mean logging off, even when the world demands you stay visible. It might mean stepping away from conversations that once comforted you, but now only cloud your peace. It might look like reclaiming your Morningston minutes of intentional quiet, not to earn favor with me, but to position your spirit to finally receive what I've been trying to give you all along. Because my voice isn't for it isn't hiding it's just often drowned in this sacred season. I'm also inviting you to guard your words with care, not out of fear, but out of deep intentionality. Your words matter now. They carry weight. They plant, they shape, they release life, or they release confusion. So speak with purpose. Speak with truth. Speak slowly as someone who realizes their voice was made to echo heaven's tone. And when you feel that tug to downplay yourself again, to shrink back or soften your truth so others feel more comfortable, pause. That's not humility. That's sabotage. Let your words agree with what I have spoken over you, not what your fear keeps rehearsing. Some of you also need to relent prayer not as pressure, but as breath. You don't have to impress me. You never did. I already know what's swirling in your heart. I'm not moved by eloquence, I'm moved by trust. So, talk to me like someone who knows they're safe, like someone who actually believes. I enjoy their company, like someone confident. I listen, even when the words are awkward or incomplete. Let your prayer become presence here, moment of sharing, not just solving. Others of you need to rebuild your life around Sabbath. Not as a rule, but as a sacred rhythm. A time when you stop producing, stop fixing, stop proving, and simply exist. A space to remember, you are not your output, you are not your calendar, you are not your checklist or your accolades. You _are _mine. And rest, not work, is how your body remembers that truth. There will be resistance. Your culture won't celebrate stillness. People won't always understand the boundaries you're setting. But even in that resistance, there is a holy invitation. An invitation to live differently. To slow down long enough to truly feel, to truly hear. And as we turn the page, I'll show you how to walk in this new rhythm where rest becomes your foundation, and every step forward is rooted not in pressure, but in presence. Because truthfully, not everything deserves access to your time, your energy, or your attention. You need boundaries, not walls, but gates designed to protect your intimacy with me. Yes, even your own flesh will push back. It will crave stimulation, distraction, movement, applause, anything but stillness. It will whisper, do more, _be more, _prove more. But every single time you return to the quiet, every moment you resist the urge to perform, you are pushing back against a world system that tries to convince you that you must earn what I have already given freely. So let me be crystal clear here. These spiritual instructions, they're not just for your emotional wellness or momentary peace. They are for your legacy. Because you cannot pass on a promise you refuse to protect. You cannot lead others into divine rest if your soul only knows exhaustion. You cannot carry my authority while being enslaved to everyone else's expectations. These words I'm giving you, they're not burdens. They're bridges. They connect what I'm doing inside of you with what I'm about to do around you. And if this all feels new, unfamiliar, don't be afraid. I will guide you. Gently, faithfully, step by step. You don't need to architect a perfect spiritual system. You just need to create space, and I will fill it. You don't have to map out the entire path. Just clear the noise, and I will speak. And when I do, you'll know it, not because my voice is loud, but because it brings peace. This next season of your life, it won't run on adrenaline. It will be sustained by rhythm. A rhythm that doesn't drain you but carries you forward with grace. You'll stop asking, "Can I keep up?" and instead begin to realize, "I'm finally walking at his pace." This is your invitation to a new way of life, slow enough to listen, steady enough to follow, holy enough to last, because you're not just stepping into a fleeting moment, you're stepping into a pattern, a lifestyle, a reflection of what I've always intended for young rushed achievement, but daily communion. You will not burn out, you will not dry up, you will not go silent again, because I'm building this differently, and I'm building it with you. And now know that your heart is aligned. Let's talk about what's coming, because while I was preparing you in the secret place, I was also preparing the ground. The things I spoke over your life, they're no longer trapped in a far-off future. They are rising now. Quietly, steadily, deliberately. Soon, what I planted in the hidden places of your soul will be impossible to ignore. The promise won't just be a stirring inside you, it will become a visible reality. Conversations are already shifting. Opportunities are already forming. People are being drawn to you subconsciously, others without even knowing why. It's my spirit drawing them. Not to boost your ego, but to bring alignment. Because I don't raise voices to be noticed. I raise voices to carry solutions, and you? You carry solutions. Wisdom that was forged in silence, clarity that was born in surrender. And now, the world is ready for what I've been shaping in you. I'm opening doors you didn't even ask for. Doors you once thought were for someone else. Doors that used to scare you. So those doors I mentioned, they're not opening so others can mock your past unpreparedness. They're opening so you can return not as the insecure, hesitant version of yourself, but as someone who's been with me. This time you won't stand at the threshold like a beggar hoping to be noticed. You'll walk through as a carrier of promise, because this isn't just about opportunity anymore. This is about fulfillment. I will give you words at times you least expect. Moments will come, unexpected, unscripted, when truth will pour from your mouth with clarity and grace. You'll speak and unlock hearts. You'll diffuse tension with just a few words. You'll release peace not because you rehearsed it, but because you've allowed my spirit to flow through you freely and fully. That's not talent. That's not charm. That's alignment. That's what happens when someone finally says yes and means it with their schedule, their soul, their habits, their thoughts. And as you begin to speak from that place of divine alignment, I will expand your voice. Influence will no longer be something you chase, it will be something I entrust to you. Watch what happens next. Watch how people begin to seek your counsel, not because you shout the loudest, but because your presence speaks even before you do. Watch how rooms shift when you walk in, not because of a title, but because of the atmosphere you now carry. You are walking in a new kind of weight, not a weight of burden or burnout, but the weight of authority. Not driven by pressure, but marked by presence. And no, it's not because you figured everything out. It's because you finally surrendered fully, even down to your daily choices, even down to the unseen moments. I'm also restoring what you thought was lost, those missed chances, the ones that felt like they slipped through your fingers. They're coming back around. But this time you'll be ready. You'll carry the maturity you didn't have before. You won't try to control outcomes. You won't hustle to make it happen. You'll simply show up anchored in peace, and I'll do the rest. Because my favor won't be something you have to fight for. It will meet you at the intersection of obedience and peace. And yes, it will feel like acceleration, but it won't feel like chaos. I don't rush what I build, but I do redeem time. And when you look back, you'll realize what you once called delay was actually deep preparation. Now that your roots have grown strong, the fruit can begin to grow quickly. But don't fear this momentum. This isn't foreign ground. This is the life I always meant for you. And your spirit, it already knows how to walk here. So expect my hand to show up in places that surprise you. Expect alignment in conversations you didn't plan. Expect confirmation through voices you didn't script. Because I'm weaving it all together now. Every disconnected thread, every silent season, every unseen obedience. I'm closing the gap between your private formation and your public function. And as we continue, let me remind you, you don't need to chase visibility. So now, as you begin to walk in this new rhythm, not striving, but trusting, remember this, you don't need to chase visibility or prove yourself anymore. Underscore, you just need to stay faithful. Underscore, I'll take care of the rest. But don't be surprised. When old voices try to resurface, the enemies of your past season fear, doubt, false pressure, they'll try to sneak back in as new doors open. They'll whisper the same tired lines, you're not ready. You don't deserve this. This won't last. But this time, you'll recognize them for what they are. Noise. Underscore, not truth. Because you've been trained in silence long enough to know the difference. You've sat with me. You've listened. And now, I will silence every voice that dares contradict what I've already spoken over your life. You. Underscore are. Underscore not. Underscore the. Underscore same. And what I'm doing in and through you now will make that obvious. There will be moments ahead where the shift won't just feel spiritual. It will be tangible. You'll sense it in your body like a holy weight settling over you. Your spirit will feel drawn toward purpose like a current you can't ignore. Your environment will begin to respond, yes. Even the atmosphere will adjust to the authority you carry. Don't shrink back. Don't apologize. And don't delay this time. You're not too much. You're finally taking up the space I designed for you to fill. I'm raising your voice not to add to the world's noise, but to release a sound that carries life. You're not here to echo confusion. You're here to speak clarity into chaos. You're not here to perform. You're here to plant. And I will make sure that the ground you step into responds to the seeds you've carried for so long. So walk not in arrogance. Not in impulse, but in holy confidence. You're not walking into something random or accidental. You're walking into something prepared. You're not here because you forced it. You're here because you waited for me. The shift isn't on the way. The shift is happening now. And my favor is already moving with you. You've walked through the silence. You've surrendered. You've been restored. You've moved in step with my call. But now comes the part that holds everything together. And it's something you can't fake. You can't strategize it. You can't substitute for it. Because what comes next depends entirely on my spirit. If you learn to breathe with me, truly breathe step by step, day by day, you will flourish. I didn't create you to move apart from me, trying to figure it all out alone. Even your sharpest clarity can't replace my companionship, even your best. Preparation isn't enough if it's not in rhythm with my spirit. That's why I'm calling you back to the one source that never wavers, never shifts with seasons, moods, or outcomes. Let my spirit be your breath, not your backup plan. Not your emergency exit. Not your last resort. Your breath, especially in the moments you feel unsure. Underscore, and you will have those moments again. So pause. Underscore, breathe. Not as a technique, but as a reminder. He is still here. He hasn't changed. His spirit lives in you. You don't need to force open doors when you're walking in communion. You don't have to convince people when my presence already confirms what I've placed in you. You don't need to carry what you've already surrendered. Just listen. Just breathe. Because my spirit isn't distant. He doesn't wait for you at the finish line with a prize in his hand. He walks with you through it. Through the tension, the questions, the steps that still feel shaky. When resistance comes, and it will come, don't expect my spirit to always shield you from it. He is not your escape from conflict. He is your power within it. He is your anchor through it. He is your clarity beyond it. Some days you'll feel full of faith, fired up, focused, unshakable. Other days you'll feel fragile, vulnerable, deeply human. But both are okay. Because either way, you are not alone. I didn't bring you this far to make you carry the rest by yourself. I gave you my spirit not just as a GPS, not just as a teacher, but as a companion, a comforter, a reminder of who you are when everything else around you tries to tell you otherwise. You've learned how to hear my voice. Now I want you to learn how to live in my presence, not just in worship or quiet times, but in your movement. In your work. In your leadership. In your conflict. In your transitions. Because I don't just speak when the music is playing. I whisper in the boardroom. I guide while you answer emails. I prompt your heart when decisions feel too heavy to make alone. Invite me in everywhere. There is no part of your life too small for my presence. If it matters to you, it matters to me. And one more thing, stop dividing your spiritual life from your real life. That line, that split, it was never from me. You don't need to step out of rest in order to step into productivity. Because with my spirit, you don't have to choose between clarity and capacity. You don't have to pick between peace and boldness or stillness and strength. You can walk in all of them. Underscore at once. That's what sets you apart. Underscore not because you're some sort of spiritual superhero, but because you are indwelt. Yes, indwelt. Underscore filled. Underscore empowered from within. That's the rhythm I long for you to live in. Walk. Listen. Adjust. Not panic. Not perform. Not collapse under the pressure. You see, my spirit doesn't drive you like the world's noise does. He guides you. He isn't the voice of urgency, he's the voice of timing. And when you finally trust his pace, you'll realize the truth. I'm not behind. I'm not late. I'm not lost. I'm led. And being led, it's better than being impressive. So pause even now and breathe. Feel that breath. That's not just air. Underscore that's an echo of us. Every inhale is a quiet reminder. You are still mine. You are still chosen. You are still filled. And above all, you are still safe. Soon, there will be moments when doors begin to swing open faster than you expected. Opportunities will come quickly. Visibility will increase. And in that speed, you'll be tempted again to strategize, to analyze, to grip things tightly. But remember this, strategy alone cannot sustain what spirit started. Use wisdom. Make plans. But don't. Return to control. Return to breath. Return to presence. You are not the one holding everything together. I am. And my spirit? He's not just near you. He lives within you. That's not just beautiful poetry. Underscore that's reality. The very spirit who raised Christ from the grave, he dwells in you. Do you think that power is only for spiritual emergencies? Or could it be that he empowers you daily to build, to rest, to lead, to love, to say yes, and just as importantly, to say no? Yes, you'll still have moments where doubt knocks again, where you'll need to pause. But that isn't regression, that's relationship. Don't mistake dependence for weakness. You were never meant to stand tall on pressure. You were meant to walk closely in presence, not from image but from intimacy. That's where your real strength flows from. So let my spirit be your compass. Let him guide your steps, shape your words, set your pace. Let him carry the weight you were never meant to bear alone. Let him be the breath between every decision, the whisper before each yes, and the still peace after every number. This promise, you don't have to carry it alone, because it was never yours to fulfill. It's mine, and I will sustain it. Through you, you are not stepping into this next season by your own power. You're stepping by breath, and I am the one filling your lungs. So now look around. You're not waiting for change anymore. The shift already happened. It began deep within your heart. It echoed through your thoughts. It rewrote your identity. And now it's reshaping your direction. Everything that once felt paused is now primed. What felt suspended is now moving. You are not who you were when this journey began, and you will not go back to that version. I've made you new, layer by quiet layer. Holy, underscore hidden, underscore deep. And now it's time to walk like it, not with a dramatic leap, but a real step, a decisive one. One that doesn't just agree with me in desire, but in action. You've waited, underscore you've listened, you've breathed through the stillness. But now, I'm asking you to move not in fear, not in rush, but in rhythm, with what you already know. You don't need another sign. You don't need the full blueprint. You don't even need all the confidence yet. What you do need is simply to begin, because I've already given you the word. I've already prepared the way. I've already granted you permission. Now comes the moment where you choose courage. But don't confuse courage with pressure. This isn't some frantic push. This is a holy release. You haven't been forced into this moment, you've been commissioned. You haven't been threatened, you've been invited. And what I've placed in your hands, it doesn't need to feel heavy. It simply needs to be honored. So walk gently, steadily, confidently. Not as someone who's figured it all out, but as someone who trusts the one who has. You don't need to see the entire map, just trust the one who drew it. Because every season of waiting wasn't wasted. Not one delay was empty. Every moment of silence held meaning. Every time you felt hidden, I was doing more than you realized. I never stopped working behind the scenes. And now I'm allowing what I've built beneath the surface to break through. Not all at once, but undeniably. Clearly. In my time and in your pace, you won't have to force the doors open. You won't have to manipulate the outcome, because I'm the one opening the doors in ways that match your rhythm and protect your heart. I've already gone ahead of you. I've already prepared spaces, yes, real places that you're about to step into. Relationships that will hold you, not drain you. Resources that will flow to you, not burden you. Rooms that will welcome what I placed inside you. And still your confidence won't come from any of those things. It will come from knowing this, that I am the same voice who whispered to you in the dark, the same presence who sat with you when everything felt shaky. The same spirit who never left. Yes, fear might still echo in the background. That's okay. Courage was never about being fearless, it's about choosing not to be ruled by fear. You will learn to move forward sometimes with trembling hands, but always with a steady spirit. You've taken the first step, and now every step forward becomes a declaration, a bold reminder to fear itself. You no longer have the final say here. You've been marked by something higher, set apart by something deeper. So don't place your trust in your own ability, put it in me. You've asked the question before, haven't you? What if I fail again? Let me answer that clearly once and for all. I am not afraid of your failure. I know exactly how to redeem it. Your failure doesn't disqualify you, it simply becomes part of the testimony I'm writing. What I'm truly looking for isn't flawless execution, it's your ongoing agreement. A heart that stays aligned with my word. A life that stays surrendered to my timing. That is what success looks like in my eyes. Not the applause, not the numbers, not the results that the world chases, but obedience. Integrity. Endurance. That is the legacy I'm building in you, and it starts now right here. The living out of everything you once only believed. The movement that finally matches your revelation. The steps that reflect the promises I've whispered to your spirit in the quiet places. So don't delay this with more overthinking. Don't hold yourself back because of who might not understand, or who might disapprove. This is not about them. It never was. This is between me and you, and I say, go. Not with panic. Not with pressure. Go with peace. Go with clarity. Go with rhythm, not rush. Go with reverence, not perfectionism. Go with me. And when those confusing days return, and yes, they will come again, return to this truth, I do not change. My word still stands. My spirit still leads. You don't need to be constantly strong. You don't need to perform or maintain an image. You only need to stay close. That's all. I will continue to guide you step by step as long as you remain surrendered. This season is not about striving. It's about carrying. You're carrying the fullness of what I've spoken. But hear me again, you're not carrying it alone. You're not carrying it through pressure, you're carrying it through presence. You're carrying it with me. So lift your head, loosen your shoulders, breathe deep. You're not bracing for another battle. You're receiving fulfillment. You're not stuck. You're sent. And I'm walking with you every step of the way. Amen. And if these words stirred something in you, if they reminded you that it's finally your time to rise and walk again, don't walk away in silence. Let this be a marked moment. Save it. Return to it. Share it. Because someone else is still waiting for that one sound that gives them permission to move forward. And maybe, just maybe, your yes becomes their signal. Because the time is now. Amen.